So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Here back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Thursday, December 23rd. Hopefully everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Thursday, December 23rd here today. Only about a day and a half out from Christmas, which is super exciting, obviously, as always. And coming off another, solid night last night in sports. You had Kentucky get the win. Really just blew out, Western Kentucky. And, it's one of those things where, obviously, you go into that game with the anticipation and the hope of, can we show the world, can we show the country what we did against North Carolina, and can we show everyone that North Carolina game was not just a one-game wonder, or was just not just a breakout game? Can we show the college basketball world that is truly who we are and truly what this team can do? And last night, we showed that again. We got the win last night, a big win. It was a blowout. It wasn't even close. And you saw the same thing we saw against North Carolina. You saw it again last night. And that's a Western Kentucky team, by the way, who beat Louisville, who Kentucky was originally scheduled to play. So a team who is a solid Western Kentucky team, wasn't even close to Kentucky's levels last night. And that's what we need out of Kentucky basketball. That is what you need to continue to see. That is what we as fans need to continue to see, is high-level, physical, good, tough, hard-fought wins. We didn't get that last year from Kentucky. We've gotten it the past two games here this year, and it only looks like it's getting better. So, big win last night for Kentucky. A solid boost. Especially after that Notre Dame loss, you came back, defeated, North Carolina. You go on yesterday in not easy terms, right? 2 days before the game, or a couple days, 2 days before the game, was Louisville's not going to play. You spend that whole time preparing. Louisville couldn't play because of COVID issues within their program. You have 2 days to prepare for Western Kentucky, and John Calipari and that coaching staff, like they've done a whole lot of times, pre-COVID, and with COVID going on, they've drawn up great game plans, and they did it again last night. So that was good to see from Kentucky. Tonight, you obviously got Thursday Night Football, so that should be good. I'm definitely very excited for it. I'm pumped up. Good game on tonight. Very good game on tonight. Niners, Titans. In terms of playoff implications, it's a huge game. This isn't a game that you could say, this game means nothing. The game tonight is a huge game in terms of playoff implications, in terms of standings, in terms of all that good stuff. Tonight's a big game. And you have a San Fran team that they win tonight. They're 9-6. You're looking at a team that's like, wow, where do they come from? Where do they come from? Early in the season, they were playing some big games, and everyone's saying, do you bench Jimmy G and build for the future? And now you look at this, and the Niners, if they win tonight, are then only one game away from double-digit wins. That's just how crazy this season's been for them and how they've turned it around, and the whole draft of getting Trey Lance, and now Jimmy G's having a solid year, and you only wonder now, do you continue to go with Jimmy G? Do you ride the wave with Trey Lance next season? A whole lot of questions, but big game on tonight between the Niners and the Titans. You also got some Knicks stuff on tonight, Knicks versus Wizards. So that's a definitely big one. Knicks, a team that's been struggling, was able to get the win the other night against the Pistons. And you look at the Knicks schedule, they got a schedule that's coming up that's winnable. There's a lot of winnable games coming up. There's a lot of games on their schedule, including tonight against Washington. You got a game on Christmas Day against the Wizards, that's tonight. You got a game Christmas Day against the Hawks, right? Got a lot of opportunities to start building and start to show the basketball, the NBA, the basketball world why the Knicks last season was not a one-year wonder, because it's been a tough stretch. They're 14-17. That's not good. If the season went 10 today, they would have ended as the 12th seed in the Eastern Conference. That's not good compared to what they did last year. Got to the 6th seed, got to the playoffs. Was it 6th or 5th, 5th seed? It was something like that. Got to the playoffs, got in there. They lost, but the fact that they got there and the fact that Thibodeau, what he was able to do in just his first year as a coach was phenomenal. And this year they've kind of taken a step back, and Derrick Rose now is down. And, if you're the Knicks now, you kind of have to you look at the big picture and be like, all right, we gotta get going here. Like, if we continue to lose games, we're gonna get really dug deep in this race, and we're not gonna be able to, dig ourselves out of it. So that's that. A lot on tonight. Thursday night football, a little college. Good college game last night. Army, Missouri. Really solid game. A really good game. A game that really came down to the wire. We'll get to some college football in the second topic of today's podcast. Alrighty, so with all that being said, let's get to the topics for today's podcast. A lot to get to. A lot of stuff going on with the NFL and the whole COVID situation and the Jets and all that stuff. So I want to start off with that. New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh has tested positive for COVID. So he is going to be expected to be out week 16 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to talk about this. I kind of want to talk about not only this, but in terms of I want to talk a little bit about Zach Wilson, just the Jets in general. One of these topics that, it might bounce in a couple directions, so don't, if you are watching this, don't fully expect it to be just Saleh talk. This might bounce in a couple directions. I want to get to some stuff on Saleh, want to get to this coaching staff, obviously talk a little about the interim and Ron Middleton and stuff like that, and then get to the players. Because the Jets right now got hit hard with COVID. I mean, this was a team that just last week was relatively okay. They had a couple positive tests, but it was nothing major. Now 15 Jets are on the COVID list, 14 players, and obviously Coach Saleh. So you got to hope that things start to straighten themselves out, and by Sunday, a lot of Jets are healthier. Guys maybe are able to get back in time, because the last thing you need, and I'm going to get into this, is for a rookie quarterback to be surrounded by a lot of just incompetent football. And that's what happened last week. A lot of just not good assets around him. It's happening again this week. This is impacting Wilson in a negative way. And Wilson, hopefully this doesn't destroy his progress and doesn't destroy what we've seen from him this season. So we'll get to that. Get to him. We'll get to the Rutgers Bowl game. Yes, Rutgers. Got my helmet right here. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights are going to be expected to be in a bowl game. I know that might sound, it is not April Fool's, it's December 23rd. I know it might sound like an April Fool's joke, but if it did happen on April Fool's, I would believe it was a joke. But no, Rutgers is going to a bowl game, or at least that's what it says expected. Rutgers has not officially announced it, it's not become official, but all signs are pointing towards Rutgers filling in for Texas A&M in the Gator Bowl. And it's a New Year's Eve bowl, and it's not as big as the Cotton Bowl and the Rose Bowl and stuff, but it's a pretty hefty bowl game. I mean, the original was two ranked teams in Wake Forest versus Texas A&M. Texas A&M had COVID issues within their program, so they could not play. So Rutgers is going to be the replacement team. Rutgers has been the laughingstock of college football, has been terrible for years. The Chris Ash hire was awful. All of that stuff going on with Rutgers. They bring in Shiano. Last season, the weird COVID year, had some good moments. This season, had some moments of progression, had some bad moments. But all in all, they're 5-7, and they're going to get into a bowl game, and they're going to face a very, very good Wake Forest football team. So a lot to get to in that. A lot to get to in terms of Rutgers and who's could play, all that good stuff. But Rutgers is going to snap a long drought, and it looks like they will be in a bowl game. Now, you could say what you want about, they didn't earn this or all that stuff. They're in a bowl game, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Now, if Texas A&M never had COVID issues, Rutgers would not be in. But the fact is, Rutgers is going to play in a bowl game. You could say all you want about, they didn't earn it, all that stuff. You could say all you want about it. They're going to be in a bowl game, and that's at the end of the day all that matters. We'll get to it, talk about the game. And then we'll get to the New York Sports Update. Knicks on tonight. That's really it. New York Sports is kind of in a little bit of a lull right now. Nets, it looks like signs are getting more, it looks like it's getting better that Nets will play Christmas Day. A couple Nets, including James Harden, have been activated off the COVID list, so they'll be ready to go. Whether or not KD's ready to go, that's still undetermined, but at least you have Harden. So that Lakers-Nets game on Christmas Day, which I was looking forward to, when the schedule got released, I've been looking forward to that game for a long time. I've also been looking forward to Christmas because, who doesn't look forward to Christmas, right? Everyone's always excited for that. So that was a game I was excited for, and, hopefully that game gets in. So we'll see how everything plays out with that. But right now it's a little bit of a lull. Both hockey teams, Rangers, Islanders, NHL on pause until after the Christmas break. And you got Knicks on tonight and it's Thursday Night Football. So a lot to get to. But with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. Alrighty, so Jets' Robert Saleh tests positive for COVID-19 ahead of Week 16 versus Jaguars. So yes, you have heard that right. The New York Jets head coach has tested positive for COVID-19, and obviously just from a fan perspective, from a Jet fan perspective, number one, you just hope that he can get back sooner rather than later, just in terms of overall the way this team's headed, the progress and all that stuff. You got to hope that he's back sooner rather than later, and we'll see how it all plays out. I mean, technically Robert Saleh can test out of COVID if he shows enough negative tests. The protocols, I apologize, I'm not great with them. They're very confusing. They're kind of all over the place. 1 minute says this, next minute says that. The protocols say that if you test positive and all that stuff, and the whole vaccine thing, you could test out of it, all that stuff. It's a little confusing. But as of right now, Robert Saleh won't be the coach for the Jets this weekend. At least that's what it's on paper he will be. But this weekend, interim head coach will be Ron Middleton, who's usually the tight ends coach. And, the Jets have not really experienced this yet. You've seen some other teams across the league experience this. You just most recently saw the Saints experience it. There's so many more, right? Stefanski, the Browns experienced it. They've experienced it twice. Last year in the playoff game, they experienced it, and most recently the Monday night game, Stefanski wasn't coaching. They missed a ton of players. We all know what happened. That Raiders game, kicked the game-winning field goal, all that good stuff. So he was out. He's been out twice. Yeah, Sean Payton missed this week, and he's a great coach, but didn't seem to affect him too much because they shut out the Bucs, and now Saleh's going to miss a game. And I'm sure there's been many others that have missed games. I just don't really quite remember, just because it goes all the way back to last year and all that stuff. It's happened a lot, but just in terms of from the football's perspective, with Saleh being out, it's going to be interesting to see how this team reacts, right? You have another voice in the locker room now. Ron Middleton, a tight ends coach, probably not very, very, very vocal, probably not extremely vocal, probably not a guy that's hyping up the team before a game. And sometimes as a player or player, sometimes it could affect the team in either a positive or a negative way. Sometimes a fresh voice can help. Sometimes a fresh voice, maybe can motivate a team. Maybe Middleton will come in here and say, hey, this is what I want to see out of us. Let's go ahead and do it. Maybe Middleton says, hey, I don't know what's going to happen on Sunday. I might be the coach. Saleh might be the coach. Either way, go out there, give it your best effort, try to win the football game. That's going to be the interesting approach to see how the Jets respond to this. If they respond with a lot of intensity, kind of saying, hey, we're fired up, different, not that they don't like Saleh, not that they, but you get what I'm saying. Sometimes, something, kind of rallying around the coach and, trying to do whatever they can to win and, show off. And we've seen that with the Saints. We saw it with the Browns last season, right? Stefanski missed the game. They ended up blowing out the Steelers. We all know how that game went. So you got to wonder how the Jets react. Do they react with a sign of concern and maybe a sign of just they're just heads aren't in the game this weekend and they just get crushed? Or do they react with firepower, intensity, playing for their coach, going out there, doing everything they can, and make Ron Middleton look like a genius, right? We will see what happens. And this is an opportunity, genuinely, this is an opportunity for Ron Middleton, who said yesterday on his press conference that the last time he actually did something that was like a big, big thing, he ran a practice. That was the last time. He's never head coached a game. He's never been an interim coach for a game. He's never been a head coach. Last time he did something big was running a practice. His entire career has been an assistant, a guy that kind of, does his own thing with his position group, and that's really it. And a guy who's had the most experience on the roster. And that's why a lot of people always are wondering why, out of all the coaches, why the Jets decided to go with Ron Middleton. And the simplest answer is he's been with the team the longest. I believe, or maybe not. I apologize. The simplest answer is the Jets believe he has the most experience. He's been in the league the longest. I apologize. I said he's been with the team the longest. That's not the case. I believe he just got hired this year. The simplest answer is he's been in the league the longest. He's kind of got the most experience. I mean, he started coaching. His first year really as a coach was Troy 1997. So now he's all the way up until now. So he's got a lot of experience. He's one of the more experienced coaches on the coach staff. You look at the other coaches, Michael LaFleur, a young coach, right? He's a young coach, a guy who's only been in the league for a couple years. Obviously, quarterback's coach with the Niners. Now, as we all know, the coordinator for the Jets, offense. Olbrich, I believe, has been around, but I don't know how long. Middleton's one of the veteran coaches on that staff. So that's why they decided to go with him instead of a coordinator. A lot of teams just go with the coordinator. They either just go offensive or defensive coordinator. They just do whatever. That's what the Jaguars did when they fired Urban Meyer. They're just going with the offensive coordinator. So sometimes it is interesting. But we'll see. And this is an opportunity for Ron Middleton. Maybe the Jets go out there firing on all cylinders, look like this great football team. I know it's the Jaguars, but maybe Middleton gets a little bit of attention across the league. Maybe he gets attention from the Jaguars. The team is looking for a coach. We'll be looking for a coach this offseason. And maybe he gets dragged, pulled from somewhere. Maybe that's why Saleh picked him too. Maybe he sees something in this guy. Maybe he wants to show what he's capable of as a coach and getting the team fully prepared. But it is interesting. And so that's kind of what I got there for that aspect of it. And this is where this topic and this thing about Saleh and the Jets could bounce in a couple directions, right? We understand COVID is all around the NFL. It's all around all sports right now. It's spiking in every sport. You see the NHL going through it. You see the NBA going through it. And you see the NFL. And it's all unfortunate. I mean, you wish that things would just run smoothly. You wouldn't have all these postponements and all these guys out and all that stuff. You could just wish that they would just go out there, play, whatever they got to do, get the job done, do all that stuff. That's what you just hope. It's not the case, obviously, this season. It's mostly not the case most recently. But, just from a fan standpoint, and just from a standpoint of a fan trying to look at a quarterback and trying to properly decide and dictate what Zach Wilson has shown us, what he still needs to show us, and ultimately what he has already shown us. And that is very, very, it's hard to do in the first place. Because when you have games where you look good, look bad, look good, look bad, it's sometimes hard. And, I was saying that, I've been saying this all the time this year. Wilson has shown progress. Last week he showed he can make the short throw. He's had a couple games where he's really just went through his reads. Well, he's also had bad games. It's all part of rookie. He's had learning. He's had progress, and he showed moments of being not great. But that's all a part of the learning. That's all a part of the learning process. I mean, Trevor Lawrence hasn't thrown a touchdown in 7 weeks. So, Wilson's learning. Guys all rookie quarterbacks are learning. But it's hard to grade a rookie quarterback. And really hard to, kind of dissect his performance. And really put what he's done under a microscope and really hone in on what he's done good and what he's done bad. And maybe what he's done really well and what he's done really bad. And maybe some things that are just in the middle, like he's had some good ones, he's had some bad ones. Next season's going to be a big year in that category of his process. But it's really hard. And I understand this is happening throughout the league, injuries, COVID. I get that. I get all that stuff. It's not like it's just happening with the Jets. As a matter of fact, it really just hit the Jets this week. The Jets really haven't been getting hit with COVID that much this season. It really hasn't happened until this week where the coach goes out. Many other players, I believe it was like up to 14, go out. So it wasn't until just this week where there was that spike on the roster. But it's hard to grade a quarterback when you have all these moving parts around him. And I get it. It's football. It's a physical sport. And there's going to be injuries. And Corey Davis gets injured. Elijah Moore gets injured. I get all that. But it just seems like this happens all the time with Jets quarterbacks. Like, this is the part from a fan where it's like, can we really? Now, let's just say, because Elijah Vera Tucker's on the COVID list. So if Wilson goes out there and gets sacked 6 times again, can you really, truly grade him on that? Can you really, truly take what you saw in these games when he has an awful offensive line in front of him? And that's a big question. And as as tests come through and as injuries happen, it's extremely hard to grade and look at a quarterback and see, ultimately, has he shown progress? And more specifically, which part of his game have we seen progress? Is it the short throws? Is it the long throws? Is it the reading? Is it the reading part where if his first option is not there, he doesn't panic, he looks over all of his options? I thought Wilson has gotten better with that. I felt in the beginning of the season he was forcing a lot of balls to Corey Davis, which was his first option. And most recently, he's thrown a lot to Elijah Moore. He's spread the ball out against the Dolphins. That first drive, he was spreading the ball out all over the place. You want to know why? Because he was going over his options. He was being patient, and he was looking at which guy is open and which throw is the best one to take. Not, get the ball and look immediately at Corey Davis, or get the ball and look immediately at this guy or that guy. But it's just hard when you have all these moving parts. Because let's be honest here. The offensive line's atrocious all of a sudden. Becton's still not back. Tucker might not play. You saw the offensive line last week. Just imagine it this week with another piece off of it. And it's just going to be hard because Wilson might be under pressure every other play. And that's difficult as a fan and as an organization to truly dictate when you have all these moving pieces around him. What has he done good and what has he done bad? And that's just a frustrating aspect as a fan. Like, I get it. It's reality. It's football. There's injuries. COVID's going around the league. I understand all that stuff. But just from a fan perspective, when you just want to see just a couple weeks in a row, like Elijah Moore and him were finally finding stride, Moore goes down. It's just where, I get it, he got Michael Carter back and all that stuff, but it's just not the same. Like, he just doesn't have enough talent around him right now, especially with all this COVID stuff going on, where truly, can the Jets truly, and can us as fans truly grade what he's all about? He's shown progress, no doubt. But now with all these moving pieces and all these COVID cases and the injuries and all that stuff, it's going to be interesting. Because these 3 games down the stretch were big. Just from a fan, it was big. Not only for him, but for us fans to really totally feel confident in these final 3 games. Because if he struggles in these final 3 games, not that you go into the offseason completely down on yourself, but you do go into the offseason with, you do go into the offseason still wondering, is he our guy? Because I don't think Wilson's shown you everything yet that he is the guy that's going to be the savior of this franchise. He's shown moments, he has, but he's still developing, he's still progressing. But it's just hard to do that and hard to really see that when there's all these moving parts. And you just got to hope that this stuff gets straightened out and ironed out quick. Because as a rookie quarterback, it's hard enough in this league to build chemistry and get confidence and start to play well. And when you just start to play well and build chemistry, when guys go down and you have all these missing pieces and all that and inserting in and out, how is he possibly supposed to build chemistry with his receivers? It's going to be hard. It's going to be something that might be on the run. And that's why I'm expecting this weekend, it might be ugly at first. With all these moving pieces and the offensive line not in a great position. It might look ugly at first. But he's going to have to adjust and he's going to have to throw to maybe some guys that he's not very used to throwing to. And it just seems to happen. It happened with Darnold too. It just seems to happen with the Jets quarterbacks. It's just like the Jets quarterbacks seem to get the rough end of their stick. Like Darnold. He had all these moving pieces around him. He couldn't get one stable number 1 receiver. And now you look at Wilson. It's only his first year, but he's got a lot of moving parts. And like I said, they're not just gonna pause the league and say, hold on, the Jets receivers are hurt, bring him in. You can't use it as an excuse. And I'm not using it as an excuse. I'm just saying that if Wilson does struggle a little bit, all these fans are going to start to bash him and all that. You got to realize what he's working with. He's working with a lot of inexperienced players, added on to his inexperience, right? He's a rookie, still got a lot to learn. So, we'll see. We'll see how things really play out. But you just got to hope that things get straightened out and Wilson can get back with the receivers that he truly has built a connection with and we've seen in games succeed at a high level. And that would be guys like Elijah Moore and getting the ball over to Crowder more. And Keelan Cole's been such a disappointment this year. He's been such a disappointment. A guy who I was really excited to see work with Wilson. In terms of he's fast. Wilson delivers quick throws. Like their games just match up. But it just hasn't it's one of those things where it has potential to lock together and really be a good combo, but it's been Wilson and Cole has been a lot of this. It's not been a great connection. And when you see, when it's been tough, but one of those things where, again, Wilson, now's an opportunity for him to build more chemistry with guys like Keelan Cole and guys like that. And we'll see how everything goes. I'm just glad that we're not playing a team. And we get the Buccaneers next week, obviously. But if this was like a game against the Bills or something where they're in big need of a win and a big week this week for them, obviously, against the Patriots. But if this was a game against the Bills, you would go into this game with the expectation of, geez, well what's going to happen, just because of all the moving parts and all that stuff. So, all right, so let's read this quick article here, and then we'll get to the Rutgers and their bowl game and all that good stuff. All right, so Jets Robert Saleh test positive for COVID-19 ahead of Week 16 versus Jaguars. So New York Jets head coach Robert Saleh's status for Sunday's game versus the Jacksonville Jaguars is unclear after a positive COVID-19 test. Per Brian Costello of the New York Post, Jets tight ends coach Ron Middleton will run Wednesday's practice in Saleh's stead. ESPN's Rich Cimini added that Saleh is experiencing symptoms, but he could return as soon as Thursday with a negative test. I don't believe he's returned yet today. So, per Cimini, Middleton will serve as head coach against the Jaguars if Saleh doesn't clear protocols. The Jets are among the NFL teams with a growing list of players and coaches dealing with COVID-19 concerns. Per ESPN's Ralph Vasciano, Saleh is the 15th member of the Jets who is currently unavailable to the team. Joey Chandler of NJ.com noted the NFL reported a single-day season-high 51 positive COVID-19 cases on Monday. During a conference call with reporters Monday, Saleh said at least 6 of his players currently on the reserve COVID-19 list have a chance to play against the Jaguars. So this is what he said. Foley, obviously, he's from the weekend. Tanzel Smart, JFM, Sherrod Neeson, Lamar Jackson, and Vincent Smith. They still have a chance to make it this week. They've got to go through the protocols with regards to asymptomatic plus 2 negatives and all that stuff, whatever the protocols are. But that's where we're at. So that's what he said. The league had to reschedule 3 games on the Week 15 schedule as a result of coronavirus outbreaks. There's no indication right now that any of the games scheduled for this weekend are at risk of being delayed. Saleh in his first season as Jets head coach, he spent the previous 4 seasons as defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers on Kyle Shanahan's staff. The Jets enter Week 16 in last place in the AFC East with a 3-11 record. They will host the Jaguars on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So we'll, obviously that's, the Jaguars game. Like when I saw. I think we all as fans, going into the season, you have Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, the 2 number 1 picks. It was a game late in the season that had potential to be fun. Now where we're at, it's like, this is a game where, hey, this is one of these games where confidence, it's like, it could be a confidence boost type game. Where, whether it's Lawrence or Wilson, could have a really strong game and boost their confidence for the final 2 games of the season. And that's really what it has come down to. And that's really what us Jets fans need to look at. Can Wilson truly build confidence and show a lot of positive things? And we'll see what he does. But yeah, so Saleh goes down. Next man up. Ron Middleton in. Obviously, I know I say obviously and a lot. It's just how I am. But Ron Middleton has never coached a game before in terms of head coaching. This is what Ron Middleton has done over his career. He's actually played. He played from 86 to 95. Was with the Falcons, Redskins, Browns, Redskins, Rams, Chargers. So this is all of his coach. This is all of his time as a coach. He was the Troy tight ends, offense tackles coach, all that stuff. Then he was with Ole Miss. Then he was still with Ole Miss. Switched positions there. Then he was with the Buccaneers. Then he was with Alabama. Then he was with Duke. And the Jaguars was his longest. Jaguars were most recently 2013 to 2020. And most recently this season, he was with the Jets as a part of Saleh's staff. So a guy who's been in the league for a while. He has experience. He played. He's now coaching. He's been in the league for a long time. So a guy who definitely, which is why I think the Jets chose him, played, experienced, long time. But he does not have much head coach experience. He said, I believe in his press conference yesterday, he said the only time he was like, I guess, a head coach or whatever you want to call it, or was in a situation where he needed to take on a pretty big role, was in Duke. He had to run a practice. That was it. He had to run one practice. In his entire career, from 1997 until now as a coach, he has only ran one practice. Other than that, he's been the assistant, does what he needs to do with his position group and all that stuff. So this is a big challenge for him. This is a big opportunity for him. You know, a guy who this is his first time being a coach. You know, before this he ran one practice. So now he's going to be coaching an NFL game in a big market, and we'll see what he does. And like I said, maybe the players, you know, gather around him and, you know, get, you know, kind of just play well for him and all that stuff, and maybe, you know, we'll see. That's going to be something that we will see play out over the next few days here. So, alrighty, so that's what I got for the Robert Saleh news and all the stuff going on with the Jets and that stuff. By the way, Brandon Echols is your Rookie of the Week. So, Brandon Echols is the Rookie of the Week this week. So, that's the fourth Jet this season to win Rookie of the Week. So, it just goes to show you that this fan base is pretty loyal to their guys. I mean, very loyal to the guys. You know, they vote, and Brandon Echols Rookie of the Week. Had a very solid week, by the way. I mean, like, you know, take away the fact of all the stuff going on. Brandon Echols has kind of gotten lost in the mix, but he's the Rookie of the Week. So the fourth time the Jets have won a Rookie of the Week. So Wilson won in Week 4, Elijah Moore won in Week 11, Wilson won in Week 13, and Brandon Echols won in Week 14. So back to back. So really, really cool to see. And you know, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you know, we could sit here and talk about the scores and all that stuff. And this is where sometimes me as a fan, you know, when I come in here on a Monday and I talk, I'm pretty mad if they lose. I'm pretty fed up. I'll say a lot of things that I'll give you my mind and all that stuff. And it's a lot of times really, really sometimes difficult, especially after a loss, to really realize that there has been progress with the team. There has been. Whether you see it or not in games. You know, and this is why sometimes it's the best to do the reflection a couple days later, because you got the loss out of your mind, and at that point, you're just not even focused on that game anymore. You're looking at it now, like, Echols has made progress. I mean, I go back to the game that I went to. I went to the Jets-Bills game. That's how I got my salute to service flag right there. I went to the Jets-Bills game this year. They got crushed. That was the Mike White 4-interception game. They got killed. They got smoked. I'm not denying that. Echols did not play good. He struggled. He got injured. He didn't play good. I, as a fan sitting there watching that game, was like, is this really who the Jets believe in? Is this really what they think? They really see something in this guy? He struggled. And then he showed progress. He had a good game against the Bengals and stuff, I believe. And then he struggled against the Bills. And now he wins Rookie of the Week. Like, there's progress. Is it every week consistent? No. That's the one part where you wish it could be. But now he wins Rookie of the Week. Had a pick 6. Had the highest grade, I believe, out of every cornerback in the NFL. So, you know, a guy who had a big week and has shown progress and continues to show progress. So another guy on there. And for a struggling defense has been a lone bright spot recently. And especially last week. So that's why sometimes, like, when I talk about it, you know, I mean, it's been atrocious. I mean, in terms of the season. I mean, 3-11, it's been tough to watch, make no mistake. Especially some of the doozies that we've had gone through with Wilson struggling or the team struggling. It's tough. But when you really look at it, and you really see, you try to take a step back from the record in the games, and you truly look at the young players, there has been improvements. There has been. And, you know, hopefully we continue to see those across these next 3 games. All right, so that's what I got for the New York Jets and kind of the update there and all that stuff. But coming up, Yes, you have heard this right. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights, Rutgers football, looks like they will be in a bowl game for the first time in a very, very long time. I'll get to this, get to Rutgers, get to the Gator Bowl, and much, much more coming up next. All right, so welcome me back here at the podcast, and here it is. Here is the official report. So report Rutgers to accept Gator Bowl invite after Texas A&M drops out due to COVID-19. So Rutgers football, what has been the laughingstock and an embarrassing just team for many, many years. You hired Chris Ash. They had Kyle Flood, which was he was solid. Then they hired Chris Ash, just what people thought was going to really help the program. He destroyed the program. He really did. I mean, the program stunk under him. He wasn't good. He let all the top recruits from, New Jersey and the New York and the metropolitan area just leave. He was a bad recruiter. And there was true optimism going into the hire when they hired Chris Ash, a guy who was with Ohio State, I believe was the defensive coordinator, had experience of winning, was on winning staffs, worked with a lot of really good players, had a winning kind of mindset and attitude, and a lot of people thought a lot of players would follow him. He's been immune to winning, knows how to develop guys, especially on the defense side of the ball, all that stuff. And he went to Rutgers, and it's like he just forgot how to recruit. It's like he forgot how to run a program. It's like he forgot to do everything. And they stunk. They were awful. And they've kind of been bad since joining the Big Ten. And most recently, they obviously hired Greg Schiano. You have the shortened COVID year last year, which Rutgers had moments, right? They had a couple big wins, and then you go into this season, and there was a lot of optimism, and there was moments again. They went on the road, got some Big Ten wins, was competitive against Michigan, and all that good stuff. They end up losing, struggled down the stretch. Their offense wasn't great. They finished 5-7. But through all of that, Rutgers is going to be in a bowl game. And as we all know, COVID has affected, like I mentioned earlier, COVID has affected sports in a very, very bad way. It's been affecting it more recently. And it is the main reason why Texas A&M will be out. Not even just the main. It is the reason. It's not one of the main reasons. It is the reason Texas A&M's out. So, here's the thing, right? It stings to see a solid team like Texas A&M to be out. This was actually going to be a good bowl game. I mean, this was going to be a very, very fun game to watch. Two good teams. Texas A&M, very good team, led by Jimbo Fisher, and a team with the Wake Forest, led by their quarterback and Sam Hartman. And it was going to be a solid game. I mean, you got a good defense versus a good offense. I mean, Wake Forest kind of one of the better offenses in the entire league. So that was pretty cool. That was going to be a pretty good game to see. Now with Texas A&M going out, you slot in Rutgers. And if my memory serves right, I believe the last time Rutgers, I did some research, but my memory serves me right. Last time Rutgers made a bowl game was 7 years ago. It was in 2014 when they made the Quick Lane Bowl. That was the last time Rutgers made a bowl game. And it has been a long 7 years since. It hasn't been 7 years of football where they win a couple games. It has been 7 years of atrocious, poor, just bad football and a program that was like this and just went like this. But now it looks like as if they're back. And what's funny about this whole situation is at first they were going to not play. They gave him an invite, and at first it looks like the reports came out that Rutgers was going to decline it, which I understood at first because, let's be real here, a lot of guys declare for the draft. You don't really know if they're coming back. It's in such an advance. This is a New Year's Eve bowl, so they have about a week to prepare. You don't really know all the players that are available. Guys, I'm sure, have been gone and all that stuff. It's sometimes hard to get a short notice like this, right? And to see something happen like this and to see Rutgers then accept it, it's one of those things where it's like, at first it looked like they declined it, now they kind of have a change of heart, and it looks like they're going to accept it. And it's going to be interesting to see what Rutgers does in terms of overall competitiveness. Do they actually show up and play well? Or is this going to be something where Rutgers is in a bowl game, they made it, that's all Rutgers fans care about. They could lose 60-7 on national television. They don't care. If they got to a bowl game, that's all that matters. It'll be one or the other. But it's going to be interesting to see who Rutgers rolls out there and how they compete. Because this is a Wake Forest team that's very good. This isn't Wake Forest. This is a top 25, solid, good quarterback, great offense, Wake Forest football team that had potential, that got to the ACC championship game. Obviously lost to Kenny Pickett and Pittsburgh. But you saw the potential of this Wake Forest team. Rutgers, on the other hand, it's been up and down. It's been a little bumpy. It's been a lot of this and this and this and this. Start off the season 3-0, then drop. Then you win a Big Ten game on the road, then drop. You win another one, drop. You're competitive, drop. So this is like, for what has been a pretty wild year for Rutgers in terms of consistency and wins and all that stuff, it is kind of like this is like the cherry on top. If Rutgers can find a way to win this game, this season will be as a success, and Rutgers fans would love it. Greg Schiano, this and that. If they lose this game, well, that's what we all expect. But, I get it. People can say what they want. They can make fun of it. I understand that. Oh, this is the way Rutgers snaps their 7-game streak. This is the way they get in. Oh, that's such a Rutgers thing to do. You could say all you want. The fact is, they're going to play in a bowl game. And for a program that has been starving for success for such a long time, that has been like this for the past 7 years, maybe just until last season, maybe they saw a little bit of this. For a program that has been starving for success, a program that has been so bad, a program that was once here, now all the way down to here, this is huge. You talk about, in sports, you talk about franchise-altering moments. You talk about franchise-altering moves, franchise-altering plays, hires, additions, programs too. It's the same thing. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that just because Rutgers is in a bowl game means that they're all of a sudden going to turn into a top 25 team and compete for the college football playoff. But what I am saying is, it does seem like there's finally a light at the end of the tunnel. The Rutgers has been riding this train for such a long time, and they haven't seen light. It's been pitch black. It's been dark. They've fallen off the track a couple times. As a matter of fact, they've been off the track. It just wasn't until it was just until last season where they finally got back on the track. And it's been rocky. It hasn't been smooth. But now with this bowl bid, getting into a bowl, and now with, playing against a really good team, an opportunity to really see how you match up against one of the better teams in the nation. Not going to sit here and tell you that this is going to be program altering, but it has the potential to be. Let's say Rutgers wins this game. You don't realize how big that is for Schiano and the recruits and the program. I get it they won 5-7. I get it they got it only because of COVID and it wasn't earned. It wasn't fully earned. But hey, they still were able to get into contention. If something like this happened, Rutgers was the first team up on the list. So we'll see how it all goes. We'll see what happens. They might get crushed. As a matter of fact, that's what I think we're all expecting. But this is huge for Rutgers. Right? This is huge. If you always go back to that game against Louisville. The big pandemonium in Piscataway. That big game where they beat Louisville. Greg Schiano, game-winning field goal. Fans stormed the field. That is what Rutgers needs to get back to. That is what they want to get back to. That is why they brought Greg Schiano, is so they can get back to moments like that. And this in the heat of the moment, because sure, I've made fun of him. I have. I'll say it. When I heard about this news, I was like, up in 60-7 incoming victory for Wake Forest. And I might be right. It's probably more realistic of that happening than Rutgers winning. And I'm not trying to say that to be funny. It's the truth. But in terms of where this program's headed, this is a big step. This is a big stepping stone. Get to a bowl game. And who knows, maybe they compete in the bowl game. We'll see. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. Nobody's saying that it's going to be easy. Nobody's saying that they're going to win and they're going to do all this. But if they can show competitive, maybe they can go out there and shock people a little bit, get some national attention, is a big step in the right direction for Rutgers in the program. All right, so let's get to this article. So Rutgers to accept Gator Bowl invite after Texas A&M drops out due to COVID-19. So Wake Forest has reportedly found its new opponent for the Gator Bowl after Texas A&M withdrew from the game because of COVID-19 issues within its program. Nicole Aberbach of The Athletic reports that Rutgers will receive and accept a bid to face the number 17 Demon Deacons on December 31st in Jacksonville, Florida. Aberbach noted that the Scarlet Knights have the highest APR among 5 and 7 teams. The NCAA Oversight Committee is expected to make the news official on Thursday. Rutgers was 3-0 in non-conference games, but ended the season with 3 losses in its last 4 contests. The team last win was a 38-3 victory over Indiana on November 13th. In their last 2 losses of the season, the Scarlet Knights surrendered a combined 68 points while scoring only 16. Wake Forest head coach Dave Clawson said on Wednesday that his team hoped to find a new opponent by Friday. After a stellar 10-3 season, the Demon Deacons players let Clawson know they still want to play in the game. It would be the program's first Gator Bowl appearance since 1946. Overwhelmingly, the captains, they want to play in the Gator Bowl. Clawson said that's what they said. We've worked really hard to get to a bowl of this caliber, of this prestige. Clawson added that over 90% of the team has received a COVID-19 booster shot, and the team is taking extra precautions, such as wearing face masks, indoor social distancing, and limiting contact to ensure they'll be able to play. And I'm sure Rutgers will do the same. That's the one thing I was wondering, because at the colleges now there's it's winter break, Christmas break. So I wonder now what's going to go on with them in terms of protocols and all that stuff. So, that is going to be interesting. Maybe they start a quarantine period. Maybe they don't. That will be interesting. That was the one thing I was a little confused on in terms of whether or not they will be ready to go. And it's going to be interesting to see who's available. Because guys like Bo Melton, Isaiah Pacheco, Olakunle Fatukasi have already declared for the draft, and they're not going to play in a bowl game. They assumed that there was going to be no bowl game. So you got to wonder now, if in fact they are going to play, who's going to play? And who's going to be on the roster, and who's really going to go out there and be ready to practice and all that stuff. Like, they've kind of already transitioned into off-season mode. I mean, who knows? Maybe Rutgers has been sneaky and have said, hey, all right, guys, I want you guys to continue to keep up on your football stuff. Just be ready that we might, if we get a bowl invite, we're going to accept it. Maybe they've said that. Or maybe this is something where it's going to be like David and Goliath. Rutgers just finds the guys they can find, finds the guys that are willing to play, and they go out there and try to win. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. But this is a big step in the right direction for what Greg Schiano is trying to build, and what Greg Schiano hopes to build, and ultimately what Rutgers needs and wants and hopes to build. All that stuff. They want the program back. They really do. It's just a matter of time. But it's a step in the right direction. So it will be interesting to see where Rutgers is at. They won't be there yet. They've got a lot of solid recruits this season. But where are they at in terms of right now with the roster they got and the coaching? What can they do against a really good Wake Forest team? We'll find out. But it's a step in the right direction for the program. Alrighty, so that's what I got for the Gator Bowl and Rutgers. A lot of stuff going on in fantasy football. We'll get to that here. First, we'll get to the games on tonight and all that good stuff. As for tonight, we got some NBA games. We got the Sixers Hawks. I'll give Sixers the win. Pelicans Magic, give Pelicans the win. Pacers Rockets, give Pacers the win. Heat Pistons, give Heat the win. Wizards and Knicks. I know I said earlier it's an opportunity for them to win. I guess I'll give the Wizards a win. But Derrick Rose is out. He's going to be out 8 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks is what they're saying. So it's ankle surgery. So, now it's an opportunity for Kemba Walker, a guy who been out of the rotation, comes back in to show why he belongs. Bucks Mavericks, I'll give Bucks the win. Hornets Nuggets, give Hornets the win. Or Nuggets to win, rather. Suns Thunder, give Suns the win. Jazz Timberwolves, give Jazz the win. Warriors Grizzlies, give Warriors the win. And Lakers Spurs, I'll give Lakers the win. Alright, and as for college basketball. We got one game on tonight, Wisconsin versus George Mason. I'll give Wisconsin the win. Alrighty, so tonight we got the NFL on, or good NFL game on tonight. 49ers versus the Titans. 49ers come into this game 8-6. Titans come into this game 9-5. Niners are 3-point favorites. The over-under is set at 44.5. This game comes on tonight, 8:20 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network. 52% of people in the 49ers will win. I've went back and forth with this a lot. A.J. Brown is back for the Titans, but I'm going to give the Niners the win. I just have not seen enough from fantasy terms and regular just in-game stuff to really truly believe in Tannehill and this Titans offense. They just haven't been the same without Henry, and that's it. They're just not the same team without Derrick Henry. There's no sugarcoating it. There's no other way to put it. They're just not the same team without Derrick Henry. We could sit here and say, oh, well, this and that. No. They need Derrick Henry if they want to win, and they have shown that over the past couple weeks. They've missed him a lot. So that's just the reality of it. Give me the Niners. And then the Niners win 24-21. I think it's a late field goal. They win 24-21, and I'll take the what was the over-under? 44.5. I'll take the 24-21. I'll take the over on the over-under of 44.5. Alrighty, as for fantasy basketball, I'm currently winning 479-300. Today I've got going Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Maxey, Kelly Oubre, John Collins, Nikola Jokic, Segios Alexander, Brandon Ingram, John Morant, Miles Bridges, and Desmond Bane. All clean on the injury report. Rashawn Holmes came back last night. Alrighty, as for the non-PPR league, I'm currently winning 95-57. This is my lineup I got going this week. Justin Herbert, Nick Chubb, Antonio Gibson, Justin Jefferson, Amari Cooper, A.J. Brown, George Kittle, Michael Carter, Eagles defense, and Tyler Bass. And these are the injury updates. So Antonio Gibson is questionable. Gibson was listed as a non-participant on Wednesday's practice estimate due to a toe injury. Matthew Paris of the Washington Times reports. And then A.J. Brown, Tennessee is expected to reinstate Brown chest from injury reserve ahead of Thursday's game against the 49ers, bearing any setbacks in practice Wednesday, Ian Rappaport of Alpha Network reports. So he's good to go. They have already instated him, so he's good and ready to go. So that's my lineup in my non-PPR league. No doubt about it, I'm going with A.J. Brown in that week. Now, this is the league, my PPR league, this is the league where it's interesting. Right now, it's 0-0. I'm projected to win 117-108. I have 52% chance of winning, so I hope that holds up. But this is what I got going. I got Ryan Tannehill, Alvin Kamara, Dante Foreman, A.J. Brown, Marquise Brown, Dalton Schultz, Adam Thielen, Eagles defense, and Tyler Bass. Right now, Amari Cooper's on my bench. That may change. This is the injury update. So I already read about A.J. Brown. This is about Thielen. Thielen ankle was listed as limited on Wednesday's practice estimate, so we'll find out what he did today. Jamison Crowder is questionable. Crowder missed Wednesday's practice with a calf injury. Rich Cimini of ESPN.com reports. And McKissick was placed on IR a couple days ago. Washington placed McKissick concussion on injury reserve Tuesday, so he's on injury reserve. And A.J. Brown's in. So right now, it's A.J. Brown, Marquise Brown are my two receivers, and Adam Thielen's my flex. That very well could change. I'm still trying to figure it out, whether I want to put in A.J. Brown or Amari Cooper. All the stats and everything saying to play A.J. Brown, but I'm in one of those situations where I just don't know if I believe that. I just feel like I need to play. I feel like I should have played Amari Cooper, but I just don't know. You know what I'm really concerned is that it's going to be one of those things where Brown plays, but it's limited snaps. He's on a snap count. If I hear that he's on a pitch count, I'll probably sit him. Just because of the fact that I'd rather take a guy that's going to play almost every snap on offense than a guy that only played maybe half the snaps. Because if it's one of those things where they're just getting back into it, then that's a waste. And you know me, I don't like playing guys on Thursday night. But if I have to, if it comes down to it, like some of my better players I play, I'm not going to bench them. I just don't like playing them on Thursday night. Here's the issue with Thursday Night Football in terms of, well, not even just fantasy terms, just from a fan standpoint. You watch your team on Thursday Night Football get crushed and lose. Your weekend all of a sudden is off to a tough start. You watch your fantasy team, either a player not perform well on Thursday night or a player that gets crushed on Thursday night or a guy you're going against plays really well. Your fantasy football week starts off not on a good note. Now, if the opposite of that happens, and, you're playing well, your favorite team beats whatever other team is, that's great. If your fantasy football team gets off to a great start, that's great. Starts off your weekend on a high note. But if the other happens, it's not great. So, but yeah, definitely big decisions. I mean, it's both constellations, so I guess that's the one positive. Is it's not like this is the championship I'm in or the playoffs. It's both constellation matches, but we'll see. So that's what I got there. Alrighty, so that will pretty much do it on the podcast. Just looking here at some of the games this weekend. A couple good games on. A couple really, really good games on this weekend. Big game against the Broncos and the Raiders. Huge game. Big game between Chiefs Steelers. What else here? Cowboys Washington would have been bigger if Washington won. Dolphins Saints is a big game. Giants Eagles, in terms of Eagles playoff position, they need to win. Like, they need to win that game. That can't be a game where they lose. A big game is the Bills Patriots. That's probably the biggest game of the week. That could change a whole lot of things. Especially depending on what happens tonight with the Niners game. Colts Cardinals is a big game. Packers Browns is a big game. You got to feel that's a must-win for the Browns if they want any chance of making the playoffs. But this is the standings right now in the league. I keep talking about it. It's the Chiefs, Patriots, Titans, Bengals as your division leaders. And your 3 wildcard teams are the Colts, Chargers, Bills. So, that's that. There's no that's who you got. So, those are your 4 teams. And as for the NFC, it's Packers, Cowboys, Buccaneers, Cardinals, and your 3 other teams are Rams, Niners, Vikings. So, it's going to be interesting. By the way, Packers clinched a playoff and clinched a division. So they clinched their division and clinched the playoff. Next up, clinching is the NFC, which they probably will do. So yeah, big games on this weekend. Big Sunday this weekend. And for New York football, it's like usual. This time of year, you look forward to draft positioning, and you look forward to all that good stuff. But, yeah, that'll do it for the podcast here today. Tomorrow will be the usual Football Friday game picks. We'll give you the previews for all the games, recap a little bit of tonight's game. We'll give you the recaps, all that. Give you the game picks. Week 16 is upon us. Crazy how quick the season has gone on. It's always this way. It always is this way. How quick the seasons go, and it feels like just yesterday we were talking about the Jets-Panthers Week 1, but we're already here now. So it's pretty crazy. But tomorrow that will be the Football Friday, and then you head into the weekend full of Christmas. And Christmas Day is packed with sports. As you got the 2 football games on. And you got all the basketball. I mean, basketball covers the whole day on Christmas Day. Starts with 12 o'clock game Eastern with the Knicks. And then Nets play at 8, and there might be one other game after that. So basketball on Christmas Day is great. I always say this, right? Basketball on Christmas Day is great. If you think about it, each sport has, their big day. I mean, baseball is a little tough. Baseball is Memorial Day and 4th of July and all that stuff. But football, their big day is Thanksgiving. Basketball, their big day is Christmas. You could say hockey, their big day is New Year's Day when they do the outdoor games. And then, what else? What was I going to say? Also, hockey, their big days are the day after the Thanksgiving, where they have their rivalry matchups. Those are always pretty good. And then baseball is tough because they're not a huge holiday, but baseball does Memorial Day. Baseball is 4th of July games. You go through Father's and Mother's Day. So baseball is kind of all in on that. But every sport, it's like it has its selected holiday that it's big on. Basketball is big on Christmas. It always has been, always will be. Football is big on Thanksgiving, and this year you got 2 Christmas Day games on. Now, next year, football will be big on Christmas. because next year Christmas will be on the Sunday. Next year Christmas will be on a Sunday, so it will be big. You'll have all the basketball and all the football on. But this year, you got 2 football games on Saturday, which is Christmas, and a lot of great NBA action. So, looking forward to all that good stuff. But, yeah, that'll do it for the podcast here today. Hopefully, you all enjoyed it. Like I said earlier, tomorrow, we'll wrap up the week with the Football Friday game picks and all that good stuff. Get the Jets, Giants, all you need to go going into the weekend. Another packed weekend of sports and holidays and all that great stuff. Alrighty. So that'll do it for the podcast here today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. As always, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.